Hello everyone, this is Kaifu here with game 1 in the series between William and Kaifu, aka yours truly. We have William on the left side playing Reflect Refrain Fairies, while on your right side, yours truly is playing Reflect Refrain Hand Control, or known as Black Control deck. Now I know that Reflect Refrain is mostly for combo and aggressive versions. I was trying out the Reflect Refrain control version, see how it goes and so on. Just letting you guys know, I know that I haven't been uploading video for almost 3 to 4 weeks now, so almost a good 1 whole month. It's because the fact that it was Christmas, then it was New Year, so I thought I would take a little bit break and so on because I've been busy a couple of days or couple of weeks, shall I say. So I think I overdid it with the break and so on. So yeah, I will be back to recording video and so on and doing more commentary and so on. So we already know that Reflect Refrain is very powerful for many reasons and so on, and obviously this was recorded before the errata. Yes, this was recorded before the errata, so I know that for a fact that the errata did made Reflect Refrain a bit more easier. Wait, not a bit more easier, that's not make sense. A bit more easier to handle compared to back then, because obviously Reflect Refrain gaining encounters, filtering the deck very fast, getting your combo pieces, getting your aggressive card, getting your win condition a lot faster, does speed the game quite a bit. But with this new errata, which will allow the opposing player to handle the rule a bit more easy than it used to. So let's get back to the game itself. Just a heads up guys, I noticed in the video while I was recording, because this was recorded a couple weeks ago and I didn't have time to edit it, I didn't fully read the fairies effect, so it was miscommunicated because my opponent is obviously is a new player as well, so he actually gave me incorrect numbers on the life point system, so that's the reason why you'll see later on in the video where the error comes in. So let's go back in the game itself. Life point wise, 3,800 compared to 4,000 life point. I did get this turn 1 sconce, which does allow me to reveal his hand and see what he has and so on. So I discard the Vivian because obviously the Vivian is the main card they want to get through and try to beat you down with it. My opponent is going very aggressive now at the moment, dropping a bunch of Resonator and so on, pushing a lot of pressure onto me. What will be great at the moment will be King Flame Shout, which does 400 AoE damage on the board. Even though I don't play a lot of, actually 0 red Resonator in my deck, it does allow me to get the 400 AoE damage overall. I'm going to use the bow to pop out pop out the addition, so which will allow me to, you know, take care of it later and so on. Tap on our Magic Stone, I got a little red True Stone, which I did call black because I am playing a black control deck. I think I did a little misplay here because obviously that I accidentally misread one of my cards, which you will see later in the game. Currently he has 3 Resonator on the field. I thought I can do a ton of AoE damage. I thought I can, but I actually forgot the fact that which you will see in like a couple seconds from here, all the Resonator on my opponent's side field, on my opponent's side field outside of Wind Sprite is actually flying. So you will see why this upcoming misplay can obviously cost me the match, which I could have done something else a bit better. I think I paid 2 resources for this play, obviously. I paid 2 resources to put the Phoenix, and I finally noticed that all my opponent's Resonator was, or half of it anyway, is flying, so meaning I can kill the Wind Sprite. So meaning I wasted a 2 cost to get rid of a 1 cost, so which wasn't a very fair trade. Not fair trade, a very good trade for me. And not only that, I wasted my bow as well to get rid of the addition, which I thought I can get rid of like majority of my opponent's Resonator, but I actually forgot about it. And then my opponent tapped his Resonator to gain 200 extra life point, which will allow him to like use his his Moonshade a bit more effectively and more aggressively, to the point that he can just like randomly drop a lot of Resonator on the field and so on. And he does play another Resonator on the field, which is the other fairy, which will allow you to search for a addition. I can't remember the addition's name, but he did add it back to his hand. I thought he can add it back to his hand from the graveyard, but it's actually searched from the deck. And here I go reading it, and actually misread it by accident. I thought it's like graveyard instead of deck, so I thought, okay, that's cool. It's actually you had to add it from the deck, not from the graveyard, so you can't reuse the one you used before. So obviously misplay happens and so on because I haven't played for a while. So I know that's not a good excuse, but yeah, I haven't played for a while. That's the reason why. So yeah, life point wise 3,400 compared to 3,000 life points. I'm going to do my best to get around this situation because a lot of my opponent's Resonate is flying, so meaning I can't block it unless I have a flying Resonate of my own, and obviously in a black control deck the only flying Resonate you have is your Mephistole and nothing else outside of maybe like a couple 1-drop flyings. That's about it. I'm going to try to get rid of my opponent's Resonator with Cinderella Shoe. I know that Cinderella Shoe hasn't been seen a lot lately because of the fact that it's not that great. Because of the fact that with the bow able to remove addition Resonator, not allowing your opponent to have any power plays and so on, that's one of the reasons why Cinderella Shoe had been shipped out the meta for quite some time now. At the moment, I'm thinking what I should do. I do have a bunch of removal spell in my hand. I think it was Outer World or Stoning to Death, but I wasn't sure it was worth the trade to get rid of, like, I don't know, using Stoning to Death or Outer World to get rid of like a 1-drop Resonator. But at the end of the day, this 1-drop Resonator can do a pack a punch, just saying. So yeah, we're already almost at the 6-minute mark now. Actually, almost at the 7-minute mark now. Life point wise 3,700 compared to 3,000 life point. So obviously my opponent has the better edge with the field presence because obviously I have no field presence besides 2 magic stones open. He put a Wash Sprite on the field, which will allow him to reveal the top card of his deck. If it's a fairy, I believe, you can add it to your hand instead. So which allows him to get a lot more field advantage, not only the hand advantage at the same time, dropping another Sprite and getting another Wind Resonator, another Wind Sprite to his hand, so a lot more fairies to play. Not only that, to combo off and so on. Paying 1 to drop the Wind Sprite on the field, producing mana, which will allow him to get extra aggressive plays if he needs to. Now cast Stoning to Death, getting rid of the Flame Sprite because I don't want the Flame Sprite on the field, because the fact that is that it can do a ton of damage with the ability to recover end phase and so on using Reflexive Vein ability and so on, which isn't really helpful for me because a lot of my Resonator is pretty much 500 defense or lower, so it can get one shot by the Flame Sprite. So yeah, thank God for that errata. Anyway, my opponent does have a full Resonator on the field, and he did an early Judgment, which I was quite surprised to because of the fact that even though he has a field advantage, he doesn't have like the best advantage at the moment. 1 card in hand, 4 Resin on the field compared to my 2, 1 bow with no counter, and obviously a bunch of card in hand. All I need to do is just, I don't know, draw like a Camellia, Outer World, or Dark Faria, even getting back the field advantage to my favor, because even through he has a lot more Resin than I do, I have a bigger Resonator. So it depends on what my opponent does now. Even through, I'm pretty sure his Reflect Refrain has 8 counters at the moment, or it was 8 or 6, is one of those 2 numbers, can't remember off the top of my head. I'm trying to see what I can do in this situation, because I do know the fact that my Resonator can't do much at the moment because this is a very heavy to mid to late game, and I'm surprised that he didn't cancel my bow, because the bow can cause some damage and so on. So I take this opportunity to pay 4 Awakening, 2 Darkness for the Awakening, and 2 Darkness for the Summoning condition, to play Dark Fairy's effect to be a Camellia, so destroy any resin I need. So I was targeting the light version because the fact that light version can slowly gain life for the opponent, but he actually didn't chase, and using the light sprite effect to gain 400 life, which will put him in a strong position. Instead, he bounced it back into his hand instead. So this might be one of the misplay that he did, and he didn't notice. Obviously, a new player doesn't really know much about it. Here we go, going to do the filter and so on, which allowed him to make his hand a bit stronger than usual. All I have on the field is 1 bow with 2 counters, a Dark Barrier, which is a 5/5 body. Dark Barrier is good, don't get me wrong, but you need more Dark Barrier on the field to get out of range from Thunder, Demon Flame, especially Flame Sprite, because the Flame Sprite can do a ton of damage. So that's the reason why Dark Fire is kind of for me. But if you have a bunch on the field, it is a strong resonator with lifelink supporting each other and so on, can hit it like a truck. And not only that, if your opponent does block with it, you still gain the life point whatever damage you dealt this turn by Dark Barrier. So my opponent is going to play Awakening and summon the White Resonator, which allow him to supposedly search from the deck instead of the graveyard, but he did search from the graveyard. Obviously I didn't know much about the fairy deck, so I didn't bother. So it could be my fault as well. But so next time you're playing an actual competitive game like this one or competitive tournament, I think it's recommendable you should read all the cards. But this is a casual match for beginner and so on, so I was helping out and so on, so no harm done, I guess. Currently life point wise 2,900 compared to 3,000 life point. My opponent has 2 Water Sprite, 1 Wind Sprite, 1 Red Sprite with the addition under it, and the other Fairy Resin. I can't remember the top of my head, and so on. He does have a stronger field advantage and so on. I think that was a huge misplay by me on turn 2 using the Phoenix effect, the Phoenix spell card, which does 500 AoE damage to all non-flying Resonator, and forgetting the fact that the Fairy does have flying onto it, so which can help make me waste my turn 2 play for no reason. I do activate the effect of the Reflect Refrain, which will pump up my Resonator. I'm not pump up my draw card and so on, but he actually used Flame Sprite to do 500 AoE damage directly to my Dark Barrier, so not looking too good for me. Which obviously that he has a stronger field advantage than me because obviously I have nothing on the field. I'm going to kill the orb because the orb will allow him to draw cards and I don't want him to draw any cards at all. And not only that, it allows me to gain the extra momentum with the hand advantage. Not much I can do at the moment. For 3 cards in hand, 2 bows, one with 2 counters, and a Hera on the field. Hera is a 5/5 body. When it comes to play, it targets you can target a 0 cost Regalia. When you do destroy it, after that you draw a card. So it does give you the extra +2 because you did kill a card on the field and you drew a card. So it's a simple +2 card. It's very amazing, and so on. Dropping another Dark Barrier on the field because I was supposed to drop 2 of it at the same time, but however, since my opponent did get rid of one of my Dark Barrier, making one of my other Fire is less useful, because putting 7/7 on turn like turn you played it and so on is very, very strong, but obviously that he got rid of because he knows it's a big threat. Doing 500 damage to my Dark Barrier, but I do have the little True Stone on the field which can pump up to extra 200 attack, 200 defense, so forcing my opponent to either you can attack me with your Resonator or you can do damage to my Resonator, and he does choose to do damage to my Resonator because he knows for the fact that Dark Barrier will allow me to gain the extra advantage because with the lifelink and so on. Because the fact that Fairy decks is mostly very powerful in the early game when they got the combo pieces, but when it comes to the late game, they don't have a lot big Resonators outside of the Vivian. If I get rid of the Vivian that easily with Camellia, Dark Barrier and so on, it will put my opponent back. So I think it's a very wise choice that he get rid of my field presence as well, and so on, not allowing me to get any momentum. And again, J activating on the field, which will allow him to get ability to cancel any spell plays and so on, which put me down to 800 life point because he is going very, very aggressive at the moment. Let's see now, 2,900 life point compared to 800 life point. Now this is one of the reasons why there was an incorrect miscommunication, because my opponent keeps saying 200, 200, 200. I thought it was 200, so I believe what he said, but it's actually going for more because I forgot the fact that the other Resonator, which was being played by my opponent a couple turns ago, it actually boosts the attack of the all fairies on the field, other fairies on the field, by 200 attack and 0 defense, so they can hit it a bit harder. So obviously that was my only misplay. I didn't notice, or actually it was a miscommunication. It wasn't really a misplay. So yeah, it can't be helped at that time. So I was thinking what I should do because I am in a sticky situation with no resonant field and low life point, but at that time I didn't know my life point was 800 life point because it was a miscommunication with the life point system and so on. So at that time I think my life point was around, I believe it was around 2,000-ish life point, I believe, so I could have took a bit more risky plays and so on. So he does bounce it back to your hands, reflect refrain ability and so on. And I was targeting the Camellia with it, so yeah, taking the counter off and so on, and bouncing back to his ruler form, which I don't quite understand why that too early. Maybe he just wanted to get the extra defense play and so on. Since he DJ activate, I think that's what you call, or D judgment. I don't know how to say it. So he went back to his ruler form, you can say, but this took allowed me to put the opportunity to put my shadow barrier up. A shadow barrier, what does allow my opponent to force him to pay extra resources to actually flip again on the field, or to activate any regalia effect he has to pay extra resource. So it forces my opponent to think straight. Like, you can J activate if you want to, but however you only have 3 magic stone open compared to my 5 magic stone. So it will give me more option to take care of your board and so on. At the moment, I'm thinking what to do with my Hera, so I'll do attack him directly, which does put him down to 2,400 life point compared to my 800 life point. And I'll do a judgment at this point because I do need the, like I said before, I was around 2,000-ish life point, so not looking too good at all. So yeah, during the time, because it was just miscommunication and so on. So I believe I had like at least 13 counters or 12 counters on my Reflect Refrain at the moment. And here's my opponent going very, very aggressive at the moment with his Reflect Refrains. Not Reflect Refrain, with his fairies and do a ton of damage on the field. Tapping his Flame Sprite to do 500 damage onto the field. I was thinking should I bounce it back, but at the same time, I wasn't sure if the bounce back was good because he doesn't have anything on the field, which allows me to kill my regals. But I do pay 2 resources in response to the Flame Sprite, but I was wondering which one should I bounce back. Because the fact that if I bounce something back, it can only do 400 damage instead, because he only has 4 fairies on the field, so meaning I'll survive 100 HP with my Hera. So forcing my opponent, you can either pay extra more resource for your Resonator, or you can pay resource for your option to Judgment. He does pay more resource for the for his Resonator, so he can actually get his plays and so on. And he's trying to recover his Resonator at the end phase, which is Flame Sprite and so on. And I told him that you can't J-activate yet because obviously that you have 0 resource to play with. Not only that, you don't have anything to get rid of my Shadow Barrier, so I'm gonna take this opportunity to stun your J-roll for a bit. He attacks me directly. I was thinking what I should do. Obviously I can't even block him because he's flying, so I do take it, which does put me down to 200 life point, because it's swing for 600 and swing for 600 again, because he has the addition, and not only that, he has the supporter from the fairies. But he does kill my Hera instead, but if he attacked me directly, he would have won. But again, he gave me miscommunication, so at that time, my life point wasn't at 200, it was at another different life point, around 1,500-ish life point during the time. So again, miscommunication can cause a lot of trouble, but it wasn't either player's fault at this point, because obviously that I asked him for attack stats and he gave me the incorrect one. And obviously my opponent is a new player, he didn't know or wasn't fully aware of his Resonator's abilities. Even though I was reading it, I wasn't fully reading the card, I was just reading the alt text and so on, like such example, what did the else does it do besides awakening, but I didn't notice that extra ability to support as well. So yeah, at this point I was thinking what I should do, since I can like pay 4 to maybe drop a Camellia or a Mephistole, but if I drop Mephistole, this will get rid of my Camellia. So let's see what happens from here. I was thinking what I should do because I only have 2 cards in hand. Obviously my opponent has a full field, which can do a chunk of damage to me, which I'm worried about. And obviously my opponent in the previous turn, he actually forgot to tap for a Magic Stone, and I didn't even notice as well. He forgot to tap a Magic Stone because of the fact that he didn't judge me, and he obviously forgetting tapping Magic Stone for extra resources for the turn, which does allow him to play a bit easier if necessary. So I'm going to play a 4 resource for my Darkfire, which will allow me to pop a card on the field. So I'm going to pop the Supporter, because at that time I thought like he's going to bounce it back and so on. I don't want him to gain any extra advantage. So that's the reason I popped it. I actually forgot the fact that he can do 200 plus damage onto all my, not all my, support his attack by 200 attack, 200 defense for most of his favorite Resonators. So I'm attacking directly with the my Camellia, I'm pretty sure. Unless I'm attacking to another Resonator. But I'm pretty sure I'll take it, and he does take it, obviously putting down to 1200 compared to my 200 life point. Let's see now. I could have boosted to 1000, but obviously I didn't want to, because just in case he wanted to burn off my Dark Fiery, he has to put a bit more effort into it, because I can just simply pump it with reload redstone, and not only that, I can just like go back to his basic form and so on. He did tap for it, but it was only doing 400 damage, so I actually thought he has 5 fairies on the field, so now it's currently sitting on 300 defense. He's paying 1 to put another fairy on the field, which does allow him to gain life points, so which can be a bit troublesome. So now he's gonna pay. I think he's using ability at the moment. No, he is actually attacking me again, and so on. Put me down to negative 400 life point, now negative 600 life point. So yeah, as you can see, I was supposed to be dead at the moment, but obviously with the miscommunication, the life point during that time was different. So hopefully you guys don't mind. It wasn't any like cheating and so on, but it was just miscommunication and so on. I'm thinking what I should do in this situation, because I don't want to take too much damage. I was thinking, should I bounce it back? If I bounce it back, I can get more cards in the field and more cards in hand, which I don't want to. Not only that, I think I wasn't in any danger during that time, so I just bounce it back anyway, so he can't get the extra damage to me. Because I'd rather take less 400 damage to put me less than the negative life point I am at the moment, because obviously I don't want any more negative life point. He does add a Vivian to hand with the Water Sprite, which does allow him to put him in a stronger position. So now I only have 1 card in hand, 1 Shadow Barrier, 2 of my Regalias has no ammo, aka no counters, 1 Camellia and 1 Dark Fiery on the field. That doesn't really do much at the moment until the mid to late game. We are going to the mid to late game now, but how about, like I said before, I should be dead, and obviously due to miscommunication, the life point was different. Paying 1 colorless to J activate, because I am forcing him to pay 1 colorless for extra resource due to my Shadow Barrier's effect. Shadow Barrier does force my opponent to like pay more resource when it comes to judgmenting or using Regalia ability. Now, a lot of people say that this card is kind of mediocre and so on, but I believe it's okay if you use it correctly or use it at the right time. With Reflect Refrain's effect, you can actually put it back to the bottom of the deck, so you don't need to worry about the reflect with the dead draw coming up and so on with Shadow Barrier. So that's what's so good about Reflect Refrain. It does allow you to, you know, get those dead card away, draw a better card. Hopefully it's not a dead card and so on. So I have a Dark Fiery. I'm not sure if he can bounce my Dark Fiery back. I'm pretty sure he shouldn't bounce it back. If he does bounce it back, I'll be very surprised. So I'll attack him directly for 500 point damage to see what he does. And I heal 5 life, which put me down to negative 100 life point instead of negative 600 life point, and put my opponent down to 700 life point. So what's so good about Dark Fiery is that because the life link is, think of this way, it's like Vlad pretty much, except for paying 2 resources, gain 2 life, and your opponent lose 2 life. When you deal damage to your opponent directly, you gain life whatever damage you dealt, so minimum 500. So you gain 5, you lose 5 at the same time. So if you're getting rushed, Dark Fire is a good option to gain life back to get out of range from like burn spells such as Thunder, Split Heaven Earth, hopefully out of range from Split Heaven Earth, and also not only that, force your opponent to get rid of the Dark Fire by spells or abilities, because they don't want to kill by battle. If they kill by battle, it's pretty much I gain life back anyway, so you want to have the less options and so on. So I do bounce back my opponent's Resonate because he was blocking, and I was thinking what my opponent can do in this situation, and he does gain a bit more life with the White Fairy, so which gain him back extra 500 life point, but I do attack him directly with my Camellia. Now it's my opponent to respond to like bounce it back or not and so on. My opponent does have 2 cards in hand, and obviously I'm trying to go for a game, but it seems that it's not gonna work for him because he has the ability to bounce back to my hand. I'm gonna pump it up for extra 200 point damage, force my opponent to waste his counters, even though I know for the fact that he will bounce it back. So by bouncing it back, which does allow me to chameleon him once more time on the field, get rid of like a resident on the field. I'm trying to get rid of maybe the white sprite or the flame sprite. The white sprite gains in life, so it'll be a bit more longer for me to kill him, or I can get rid of the flame sprite, which can stop him from trying to snipe out my resonator and so on. So I was thinking he already tapped down his ruler already, so meaning he can't bounce anything back, but he can interact with his flame sprite and so on. Let's see now. I'm not sure what to kill at the moment. I think I target the flame sprite. Yep, I did target it, and he just tapped it for no reason to do extra 400 damage to my resonator. He should have blocked it if he wanted to deal damage to my dark fire, so I wouldn't gain lifelink. So which does put him in a stronger position at the moment. Currently life point wise, 1200 life point compared to negative 100 life point. I have 2 bows with no counter. I have world change on the field, 1 shadow barrier, 1 tapped out reflect refrain, 1 dark fire, 1 chameleon on the field, and fully tapped out magic stone with 1 card in hand, compared to my opponent's 3 open magic stone, 1 wind sprite, 1 water, 1 light, and 3 cards in hand. He decided to tap for another magic stone to gain extra resources. So I'm assuming he's going to do a bunch of power plays at the moment, paying extra 200 life point for the he's using it as a colorless, my bad. Putting Vivian on the field, I'm like, okay, Vivian will pump up his resonator. So he's trying to push for game of the moment because he knows for the fact that I can't block any of his flying resonator. He's trying to push for game. That I can definitely tell you that. So at that time, I believe I don't remember the life point on top of my head at the moment, but I'm pretty sure this upcoming attack would not stop me, put me down, yeah, unless he put another fairy on the field. When he dropped the water sprite, I chased with it, removing a counter from my reflector frame and bounce it back to his hand, the Vivian, so he doesn't have the extra power boost when the second fairy comes to play, because the first fairy, which is the Vivian, does allow him to gain 200 attack onto his fairies, so he can hit like for 400 each. So I'd rather take the 400 instead of 600, just saying, guys. Not only that, he has a dead Vivian in his hand, so which does allow me to put myself in a stronger position, not taking too much damage overall, even though I'm supposed to be dead. Let's see now. We're already at the almost at the 28 minute mark now, so it is a very long game, and I've been casting for almost half an hour now. Just discussing my opponent, what he's doing at the moment. Poking me for 400 damage, which does put me to negative 500 life point, and he's gonna poke me again with the his resonator. I don't know if he should attack with his resonator, because he could have gained extra more life later on, unless he gonna use reflect refrain's effect to recover his light sprite. But assuming he didn't do it, he just filters. Even though he knows what the top card of his card was, top of his deck was, he shouldn't drew into it, because he should recover the light sprite, which will allow him to gain more life and make my life a lot harder for myself to gain any extra advantage of trying to finish the game off. I do play Spiral Despair, which will force my opponent to discard 2 cards from his hand, leaving him nothing, so meaning I can just go for a chunk of damage. Bounce it back to his hand, and removing 2 counters, and then 800 directly, and I pretty sure pump it up my resonator with a dark fire and so on. Not dark fire, with the true stone. So yeah, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you guys in game 2. Peace.